Like we mentioned, today we're going to be talking about choosing a graduate school and funding opportunities that may be available when you're looking to further your education. So this is what I feel that a lot of students think is the most important thing when looking for a graduate school, and that's the rank of the university. And I am here to let you know that the US does not have like a uniform national standard system for ranking our colleges and universities. There are several different factors that go into a rank. For example, we have the Carnegie classification system, which is like focused on sort of what tier research is being done at a university, how many students are there, how many degrees are offered, that sort of thing. But if you just Googled US ranking universities, you would just get a list of websites like bestuniversities.com and things like that. And those are not always credible. They're not always based on a national standard for ranking schools in the US. One website that we do use is the US News and World Report. Again, that is still a completely separate entity as far as ranking goes. And they are using so many different categories when ranking their universities. So for example, they'll have top universities with technology programs online, or top universities face-to-face with a football team, things like that. So it's still just depends on what you're looking at to give you the best possible school. So I don't recommend looking at ranking only as your top indicator of whether or not the school you're looking at is going to be the best pick for you. Instead, one of the very first things that I recommend focusing on is the accreditation of the school that you're looking at. Regional accreditation is the preferred accreditation type for US schools, and I've provided here a list of different commissions that offer regional accreditation. So all of the public universities and things like that will have one of these types of accreditation. There are other types of accreditation you may see, including national accreditation, which is often what gets students confused. National sounds better than regional, but oftentimes national accreditation is reserved for vocational schools, technical schools, or theological schools. And sometimes what we see is students with degrees from nationally accredited schools cannot gain admission to regionally accredited schools. So if you think of, you may want to continue to a doctoral program at any point in your life, if you have a degree from a nationally accredited university in the US, you may not be able to get admission into a regionally accredited university. So it's definitely something just to pay attention to and be aware of, and make sure you do that research before you apply. Another accreditation type that you may see would be industry-specific accreditation, like ABET for engineering programs, or KCREP for psychology programs. Those are great to have. Those accredit specific programs. So you want your university to have regional accreditation, and then if your specific program has an industry-specific recognition or accreditation, that's great to have in addition to. So this is probably the most obvious thing to look at when choosing a university, and that's the programs and requirements. And so obviously, you guys want to choose a program or a school that offers what you want. So what are you hoping to achieve from this graduate degree? Is it a boost in your career opportunities, a higher paying job, or you're interested in doing research and you want to work on your PhD next, or you want to publish articles with top scholars in your field? No matter what you're looking for, make sure that the school you choose is aligned with those goals. And it's okay to not want to publish research. It is totally okay to not be interested in at all in writing a thesis. If your interests are career-based, just find a program that is going to help you be a better employee now or in the future, and just help you achieve those applicable and transferable and marketable skills rather than research. And also understand when thinking about programs and requirements that everybody is different. Even if you're looking at a university and you're looking at 5 different universities in the same state that are all regionally accredited by the same commission, 100% guarantee you they all have different programs with different requirements and different policies. In fact, most of their programs probably have different requirements within the same school. I know our programs, we have over 30 graduate programs right now. I think it's closer to 40. We've just added a few more, and every single one of them are different. And there's probably not one person alive on this planet who knows all of the requirements for all of the programs in the US. So if you're thinking, well, I'll just ask somebody, what school has a 100% online program in criminal justice with full funding? There's no one who's going to be able to answer that question for you. You're just going to have to explore the different universities that exist and find that program. There are certainly tools online to help you, like US News and World Report, for example. You can browse through their lists and find some schools and then go directly to that university to ask those questions and confirm the information that you found online. Don't assume that the information you find on an external website is always accurate, because we have no control over what those websites post. And then ultimately, when you are doing this search, it's not easy, so be flexible. If you find a program that looks really, really interesting, but you're like, oh, I don't know about that city in that state, take that into consideration and decide, is the program worth it? Or you find a program that has a requirement, like they require the GRE and they don't offer any waivers, but the program looks amazing and if you really think it's going to be great, be willing to take the GRE. Don't let that one test stand between you and the best program out there for you, because I guarantee you're going to have a lot more tests while you're a student. So definitely be flexible with everything when you're trying to find the best fit. So cost and funding, I'm going to spend a little bit more time here because I know that that's the big draw, one of the big topics for today, and it's difficult. It's so difficult for cost and funding to figure out what's going on exactly. So first of all, just because a school is more expensive does not automatically mean that it's going to give you a better education. So the cost of living in the US is very, very different across different states. So California, for example, and New York are much more expensive states to live in than Louisiana and Texas. There's just more people there and they cost more. So when you're thinking about tuition, the state sets some of the tuition costs, and then the prestige of the program surely also contributes, but also the cost of living and the cost of maintaining that campus, and all of those different things contribute to how much they're going to charge. And so you could have a school in a really, really expensive city to live in, and it's going to charge you a fortune, but there's a school in another state that costs less to maintain their buildings and such, that has the same quality education. So just be aware that they're not always the same, high costs and better education. And then also a thing to think about with funding is there are lots and lots of different types of funding out there. Some things you may not think about right off the bat. So clearly the most common and easily thought of and found type of funding would be a scholarship. That's the one that everyone wants to know about. And specifically, people are interested in institutional scholarships. So what is your school going to give me to be a student there? Those are amazing, and definitely look into those. But don't forget about external scholarships as well. These are ones that may be available from companies or from your community. So for example, Coca-Cola they give students scholarships across the world. And those are really hard to get. Coca-Cola is, like I said, they're giving students scholarships all over the world. So you're probably going to know more people that applied and didn't get one than people who applied and did get one. But there may be smaller companies in your area that are offering scholarships. There could be a local community member who wants to help support students, or either in your community at home or in the community where you end up going to school. So for example, there could be someone who is a alumni of the school that you're attending, and they own a business in the community where you end up, and they like to give scholarships back to the university just because it's their alma mater. So those can be hard to find. There are websites out there that can help you find external scholarships, at least for the US. I can't comment on how many of those would be available to an international student, but they're all different, so they could be. So definitely explore them. The effort is worth the payoff if you find some free money that someone wants to give you to go to school. One website we recommend is FastWeb. And I know it sounds sketchy, but it's legit. Our scholarship team recommends it for external scholarships. So definitely just be open to looking into those and putting in that effort for an external as well as an institutional scholarship. Other common types of funding that students always ask about are research assistantships and teaching assistantships, or RATA positions. These are usually managed by faculty. Since you're going to be working with a faculty on research or teaching one of their classes, the faculty usually have a pretty heavy hand in selecting these positions. Some universities are more centralized, and the department or the overarching, like the college, for example, like the graduate school, would give these out. So these are just going to vary. The process, the pay, the requirements, it's going to be different no matter where you go. But keep in mind, if they feel like they're hard to find, you usually can be employed in an RA or TA position outside of your academic department as well. So if you are an electrical engineering student, for example, and your EE department is just full of RA positions and they have nothing left to give, but you are exploring some information that could be useful to the computer science department, or information that could be useful to the health sciences department if you're doing some interdisciplinary work, things like that, you may look into those departments as well and see if they have a position open. And it's always a great idea to get collaboration on ideas and designs and thoughts and stuff. So that could really help boost your research as well. So just play on all of your strengths to get every opportunity you can. On-campus jobs are those opportunities in the library or administrative offices or the cafeteria and things like that. And they may not seem as prestigious as research and teaching assistantships, but these are really, really great tools to help you fund your life while you study. So you will get a salary, like a part-time job, that pays, like for example, at UT Tyler, we pay our student employees twice a month. And so that can help you pay for your groceries and your utilities and just your living while you're a student. That can be really, really helpful. And it also helps you prepare for the job market after you graduate. You'd be surprised how different the US job market is versus the rest of the world. And I didn't know. When I was a kid, I thought it was the same no matter where you go. And as you travel, you realize this is very, very different, but it's just ingrained in you. You have no idea that it is different until you see it. But by the time you get here and you're trying to get a job, that's too late to realize that it's much different than you thought. So getting an on-campus job can help introduce you to some of the nuances of office life here in the US. And then the final type of funding that I think it's important to explore would be loans and grants. So international students coming to the US cannot apply for US federally funded loans and grants. We have a common application called the FAFSA that all domestic students, no matter what state they're in, no matter what school they're going to, can apply for federal loans and grants, but it is for U.S. citizens or domestic students, those not on an F1 visa, because it's funded by the government. But you guys may have those options available to you from your own government for studies abroad. I know some countries don't give those, like Bangladesh. I think they just only recently started providing federal loans and grants to students studying abroad, but a lot of their students weren't even aware that they had started that. So definitely just look into it, see what's out there, see what's available, ask banks, see if any type of funding that you're currently aware of does apply to those studying abroad, and just do the research on that for your specific location. We're going to come back to cost and funding a little bit later. But another thing that I definitely want you guys to think about when you're trying to find a graduate school is the community and your quality of life while you're a student. You should be having lots of fun while you're in graduate school. Some parts of it are not going to be so fun. Some parts of it are going to be late nights in the library, cramming for your next test, or trying to finish a research paper that's just not quite connecting somewhere in the middle. And that's to be expected. But it's also an adventure. Studying abroad is a new opportunity, it's a new experience, and you should enjoy it. So ultimately, what I want you to keep in mind when you're looking for a school is choose a place where you feel you will be happy, you feel you will succeed, you feel you are supported, and that you will grow as an individual and a student and an employee. A good way to help you do this would be to talk to former students of the university you're looking into. Lots of universities have alumni networks or Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, things you can join to talk to either current students or alumni. So definitely get their feedback. They're going to be much more honest about their experience. They have no reason not to be, than say me, a representative of the university who's trying to convince you to come there. Of course, hopefully they're all being honest with you too, no matter where you go. But it's just more helpful to hear a student's experience, since that's where you're going to be. You're not going to be working with them. You're going to be studying there. Another way to ensure that you do have a good experience once you're on campus somewhere is to join a student organization, get involved as much as possible. It's going to really enrich your experience as a student. If you don't see a student organization that really clicks with you, start your own. Guaranteed there is another person out there who feels the same way you do, or that is interested in the same things you are, whether it's video games or board games or puppies or hikes or whatever. There's someone out there who would love to do that thing with other people. So don't be afraid to make a community for yourself. And then when you think about community, don't forget about the broader community. So the city that you're going to live in, the state that you're going to live in, those things can really have an impact on you as well. Because while you'll spend most of your time on campus, you won't spend all of your time on campus. You're going to go to the movies, you're going to go shopping, you're going to buy groceries, you're going to go out to eat. And you want to make sure that the place that you go has some stuff that interests you. Obviously, it seems obvious, but I know that there's so much to think about when choosing a graduate school. And obviously your program, can you get in? Can you afford it? All of those things are so forefront with this entire attempt, this entire process. But, think about also the weather there, public transportation, if they have a place of worship that you would like to visit. All of those different things will really help you enjoy your 2 or 3 or 4 years, depending on what degree you're going for. So keep it in mind. So, okay, 9:26. Okay, so we're doing good. This is about where I like to take my first pause. I do not have access to the chat, but hopefully you guys are asking your questions to the grad admissions team. I'm sure that you are. So I'm going to give them a little pause here before I introduce some more information to let them sort of catch up if needed. And right here, I want to talk a little bit about the state of the world that we live in, because I know that just with coronavirus and COVID-19 and closures and quarantine, all of these things, our normal is just really not normal right now. And I know that there's a lot of questions, especially that international students have, about what am I supposed to do to plan for my future when we don't even know what next week looks like. We are all in this together. First of all, the entire world is sort of holding its breath, not really knowing what's coming next, and that is okay. We are, I say we, and I'm speaking on behalf of universities in the US. They didn't give me permission to speak on their behalf, but I'm doing it anyway. Everyone is working as hard as they can to keep you guys, the student, whether you're already here or you're coming here in the future, to keep you informed, to keep you safe, and to help you achieve your goals. That is definitely difficult to do, but we're working together. There are forums, all of the companies, all of the universities are having meetings and talking to each other about best practices, things that we can do, things that we can't do. And there are a lot of exceptions being made right now. There are a lot of extended deadlines. Luckily, all of the entrance and language exams and those types of things are now being offered online around the world. The TOEFL, the GRE, the IELTS, the GMAT. There's the Duolingo English test that popped up recently that a lot of schools are accepting. All of those exams are made available online. A lot of the international transcript evaluation companies are still operating. So anyway, lots of things are changing. Hopefully, we are back to normal for the fall 2020 semester. If not, hopefully we are back to normal for the spring 2021 semester. But we're still open. We're still having class. Classes are online right now for the summer and the spring. Hopefully the fall semester is face-to-face, but if it's not, it will be online. And there are definitely benefits to studying online. For example, you don't have to pay for an apartment. You don't have to pay for living in the US for a whole semester. That's a lot of money saved. So again, we're going to go back to that phrase, be flexible, be open to a new opportunity and a new experience. And if you have specific concerns related to COVID-19, don't be afraid to ask. No matter where you choose to go, universities are doing what they can. So don't be afraid to ask your questions, and we will see. But don't stress about it. I mean, obviously there's nothing that we can do. In a lot of cases, like, the whole world is in this together. We can just roll with the punches. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the second part of the presentation now, which is specifically focused on the University of Texas at Tyler and our requirements and our funding opportunities, to give you an idea of what I mean by some of the things I said. So on that, the more broad topics that we addressed, this is a specific example to help put it into perspective. And I'll continue commenting on the overall graduate school search experience as I do so. And I think it'll help put it into perspective for you guys in case you just are really feeling like that's a lot of information. Don't worry, I hope it makes sense. So just real quick, I don't even know that I introduced myself at the beginning of this. I didn't. I'm Brittany Riley. I'm the Director of Graduate Admissions at UT Tyler. UT Tyler is a part of the University of Texas system. So UT Austin, the Longhorns, you may have heard of that university, very prestigious. We're same part of that same system. So we're held to the same standards overall. All of the schools within the University of Texas system are. So there's UT El Paso, UT Dallas, UT Arlington, UT Tyler. There's a lot of us. And we are all under the same umbrella of the UT system, and they watch us. So they're our parents, I guess. Our school in particular is on a park-like campus about 100 miles or 160 kilometers east of Dallas. So it's about 2 hours drive. which is really, really great. A lot of our students spend their weekends in Dallas, and lots of students get jobs in Dallas after they graduate, or if they don't decide to move on to some other part of the US. And right now we're enrolling about 10,000 students, both undergrad and grad, from 45 US states and 58 nations. So we're a medium-sized institution. These are examples of some of the programs that we offer, just to give you an idea of the scope of our university, so that when I talk about these other topics like funding, again, that I said we'd mention, and career opportunities and preparation, you'll understand the types of programs that we're dealing with. So as you can see, we have programs in the College of Arts and Sciences, our Souls College of Business, and then we also have our College of Education and Psychology, Nursing and Health Sciences, and Engineering. One thing to note with these programs is, for this PowerPoint, I have only presented programs here that are offered face-to-face. I have not listed any of our online-only programs. So when you're exploring the programs that a university offers, if you are seeking an F1 visa, pay attention to if that program is offered face-to-face or online. If you're flexible and willing to study online, be aware that if you're looking on the International Students Programs page, they may not be listing their online programs there because they're not supported by an F1 visa. So just a little thing to be aware of. Everybody's website is different, so I have no idea what you'll find out when you get out there and start exploring. So I just want you to be aware, we only market our face-to-face programs to international students, but you may be interested in online, and those may be located in another area of the website or something like that. So admission requirements, just to reiterate, so you can see exactly what you may be dealing with when you start to apply. Everybody is different. Every university, every college, every program, their admission requirements are going to be totally different. So again, to give you some perspective, we have about 40 graduate programs at UT Tyler. The only thing that is the same for every program is official undergraduate transcripts. That is the single one document that is the same no matter what program you're applying for or who you are. For an international transcript evaluation, that is needed for 99% of our programs right now. There's only one program that doesn't require it, and that's our computer science program, but it seems like every year that's a little bit different. For TOEFL, IELTS, PTE, or DET scores, those are just the language exams in general. Those are required from most students, but we have a list of exemptions depending on what country they went to, if they had taken specific coursework, if they had earned a degree from a different country, all of these different types of exemptions. Similarly, for the GRE, GMAT, or MAT, or all of the entrance exams, about 40% of our programs don't require them at all. About 40% more of our programs offer waivers. And then about the remaining 20% of our programs require it. There's no waiver. You get the scores in or you don't get admitted. So it just really, really depends on who you are, what your situation is, where you're going, and what they want. So just be aware that if one program, one school is offering you a waiver, that may not be the same at another university. I am so sorry. Let me just take care of that noise real quick. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's see, where were we on admission requirements? Okay, so for the next topic would be resumes, letters of recommendation, statements of purpose, all of those fun things. Those are definitely not required for every program at our university. Some programs will allow you to submit them even if they don't require them, and we'll consider them if you do bring them up. So for example, you had a low GRE score or a low GPA, but you've been working in that industry for a while, then they would allow you to submit a resume and consider that in addition. Some programs only require like 2 letters of recommendation, but no resume, no statement of purpose. So again, it's just all over the place depending on where you go. One thing to keep in mind with these, if you are going to submit them, just be sure they're in your own words. Do not submit a statement of purpose that you may have borrowed some language from the internet or something like that, because that will not help you. In the US, plagiarism is a very, very big topic. It's a very, very big deal with very strict punishments or consequences. And so if you're going to be submitting a statement of purpose, specifically a statement of purpose is where issues sometimes come up, make sure it's your own words, make sure it's genuine and that it's going to help your application and not hurt your application because it's not authentic, it's not your own words. So okay, we're going back to funding and I've got 2 slides here on funding. Again, I feel like this entire webinar, I've just come here to say that everybody is different and it really depends, but it could not be more true with tuition and fees. Everyone is different. Every program is different. Every individual student within a program is different. There's tons of different factors that go into calculating tuition and fees. For example, at UT Tyler, we're going to look at your residency. So whether you're a Texas resident or a non-Texas resident, some schools will also take into consideration if you are in the US, a domestic student or an international student. We don't, we look at just resident and non-resident. We're going to look at whether the classes you are taking are online or face-to-face. We will look at what specific classes you are taking and within what department you are taking those classes. So if you're taking one class from the School of Nursing and one class from the pharmacy school, those specific courses are going to cost different amounts. We will look at, I think that's it. I can't even be sure anymore at this point what we are looking at. There's so many different nuances. But I've provided some estimates here. Also, schools are going to present this information to you in different ways. So some schools may present you a per semester cost. Some schools may give you a per year. Some schools may give you a per degree. Some schools may give you a per credit hour, which is part of one class. One class at our school is 3 credit hours. So if they are giving you the tuition for 1 credit hour, you have to multiply that times 3 and then multiply that by the number of classes you are enrolled in for that semester to get an estimate, a true estimate of your costs for a semester. So be aware that this information is presented in lots of different formats. I've calculated this up to give you an idea. So all of the things we're looking at, these estimates are for a non-resident studying face-to-face in 9 credit hours per semester in one of our traditionally charged departments, not a super expensive department that has like additional fees. So for a non-resident, you're looking at about $8,200 per semester, or about just under $33,000 per the degree. For a resident, it would be less than 50% of that cost. But our estimates that I've provided there for UT Tyler do not include housing, health insurance, personal expenses, books, and anything else. So also be aware when you're looking at the estimates that a school is giving you that they may include those items. It may include just your textbooks. It may be all inclusive like that. It may include your graduation regalia and your housing, or it may not. It may just be the cost of enrolling in the class. So keep that all in mind. So how do you pay for that? When they do give you an estimate and you've got your little chart and you've chosen the school that is the least expensive on a base level, then you have to start looking at what funding opportunities are available and factor that into your overall estimated cost for a degree there. So for, again, scholarships, research and teaching assistantships, and on-campus jobs are the most common funding opportunities that we give at the University of Texas at Tyler. We do offer our new graduate fellowship, which is $1,000, and that also grants the resident/in-state tuition waiver to recipients. So while $1,000 doesn't look like a lot, if we go back to our estimated tuition and fees, you can see the difference between resident and non-resident tuition is over 50%. So with this scholarship, you are saving so much more than just $1,000. For research and teaching assistantships, our average stipend is about $3,500 per semester, and also a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship in your academic department will, for at least 20 hours a week, will grant you resident tuition. So again, if we go back to our estimate, you can see that resident tuition is only about $4,000 per semester. You're getting a stipend of $3,500. Almost your entire tuition and fees are paid for. If you combine a scholarship and a teaching or research assistantship, almost your entire tuition and fees are paid for as long as you hold those positions. So look at the overall benefit of the award instead of just the number listed there. Most universities will advertise it to you in these types of ways because obviously they want you to understand the full benefit of the award. But just be sure to know about these different types of things like waivers that come with something instead of just the dollar amount listed there. And then again, on-campus jobs are a great way to help fund yourself. They may not help you pay your tuition just because you're getting paid twice a week or every week or something like that, but they can help you live, they can help you survive, and that's also a good thing when you're in grad school. Research, I didn't talk about this too much in the beginning. I just mentioned that if you are interested in doing research, make sure you choose a school that aligns with that goal. So for example, research, scholarship, and creative endeavors overall, so like arts and sciences, creative research in terms of thinking outside the box, exploring different avenues, those are all major parts of what we do here at UT Tyler. We have research conferences and competitions that help you do those things. So if you are interested in doing research at a university, make sure you look into not only what professor is working on what topic, but how does the overall school support you in that research? Not only is there funding available for you to do it, but will you get a chance to showcase your work? Like for example, we have Grad School 180 in our East Texas Research Conference, and that gives graduate and undergraduate students a chance to get in front of the community and talk about what they're working on. And one of our students from Grad School 180, one of our winners, last year or the year before, had a newspaper article written about their research because a reporter was in the crowd and heard what they were saying and was interested in the impact it had on our community and wanted to write about them. So make sure that the school overall is supporting your work. One last thing, we have ScholarWorks here at UT Tyler. It's an online research repository where all of our faculty, staff, and students' research is not published. It's not a journal, but where it is stored and shared so that people all around the world can access your materials. So if it was published in a journal, we would link to and have a copy of that journal article so that people across the world can access your research and use it for their own, help inspire them, just see what's going on, that type of thing. That's also a great tool if you guys were interested in looking at our ScholarWorks page, where you can see what our faculty and alumni have worked on to give you an idea if our school would help support your research if we're working on stuff that you're interested in. So again, the entire university should support your goals in addition to your specific program. And this is one of the last slides I have, and then again we will go for the Q&A. But career preparation. Some schools in the US will help place you into specific jobs if they have great relationships with employers in their area. Some schools will just provide you guidance and resources to help get those jobs, but be sure that if career is your focus instead of research, or it could be both, and that obviously that would be fine as well, be sure that the school is there to provide the support that you need. So for example, our Office of Career Success gives students practice interviews, resume building workshops, career fairs where we invite local employers to the campus to meet you and shake your hand, and all of that good stuff. We also have career success coaches assigned to each college. So the Souls College of Business, they have a career success coach designated to help students find jobs in business. There's an engineering success coach that will help students find jobs and prepare for the engineering search. So again, you just want to make sure that the entire university is supporting your goals in addition to the one program that you're interested in. Okay, and this is my shameless plug that if you are interested in UT Tyler's graduate school, this is where you can find our application. And we are waiving all application fees for the next 24 hours for those that joined our webinar today. So if you are interested in the $75 application fee waiver, please privately send your email address to the graduate admissions person in the chat, and we will be in touch with you with instructions on how to get that fee waiver. And then for our school, we issue admissions decisions within about 1 week for most programs. But this is also not true for every school. Some programs may have a couple weeks, some programs may have a couple months turnaround time, some universities may be different. So again, another thing to look for, the application process is very, very different. Turnaround times, documents needed, all of those things are very different for all universities. So definitely be in touch with their admissions team prior to applying. Even if you feel like their website gave you all the information you needed, you never know what you don't know until someone tells you. So don't hesitate to reach out, confirm the information that you've gotten online, and go from there, especially before you pay a fee. Make sure you have all your details correct. And our representatives always are happy to talk to students. That's our job. We are here to help you get admitted. And I'm sure that that is the same for every university you go to. If it doesn't feel that way, that may be a red flag. Something to think about is that you don't feel supported off the bat. But they should feel very happy to talk to you. It is our job to help answer all of your questions. So don't hesitate ever to ask questions. Which guides me to the very last slide, which is if you have questions about anything that we've discussed here today and you don't feel comfortable or we don't have time to get to those in the chat, please feel free to email us instead at igs@uttyler.edu. That inbox comes directly to me, actually. So I would be happy to answer any questions you have. Now, I do want to say I can only offer you general guidance in terms of what other universities are doing. And pretty much the information that I've given here today is about all I can offer in terms of what other universities are doing. But I can help you with very specific information about the University of Texas at Tyler. And so if you are interested in what another university is doing, dig around a little bit, find the contact information for them, reach out to them. There's probably someone better than me who can give you that specific information. So I'm going to stop sharing so that I can switch over to the chat and see if there are any other questions there. This is your time, so please do. Let's see what we have going on in the chat. Oh, I see you guys have been busy. That is good. Let's see. Okay, so see lots of questions about funding, which obviously that was one of the big draws for today, I understand. There are lots of schools that will offer full funding and they market it as full funding. The University of Texas at Tyler does not offer full funding. We offer several things you can apply for, and if you were to receive a combination of those things, it would largely take care of your tuition and fees. But be aware, when some schools say full funding, they mean fully funded your tuition and fees, but your housing and stuff is going to be on your own. Some schools, when they say full funding, they mean it's covering all of your tuition and fees and all of your living expenses while you study as well. So be sure that you know exactly what they are offering you when they say that. I see a question about employability. That is a really great question. I'm sure our Office of Alumni Engagement would have numbers for you right off the top of their head. we will work on getting you ours real quick, but that is going to vary quite a lot by program. So for undergraduate programs, it's a little bit more general. Even when you have a major, obviously you choose a major. Students switch, undergrads change their major constantly. It's a little bit easier to choose a school as an undergraduate student. When you're looking at a graduate school, you are getting very specific. You are becoming a master of your craft in whatever it is that you do. And so, like, when you're talking about admission requirements, that's why everyone is different. And our faculty review every application that comes in and hand select the students going into their program. The admissions office is not making those decisions. Versus undergrad, they have one number of admission requirements, and our undergraduate admissions office admits everyone, and then they just filter them to their different majors, which that also may be different at other schools. But for graduate schools, the faculty, the programs are very hands-on, very dependent. So one program, like for example, I don't know, our school counseling, Master of Arts in School Counseling, that is an online program. It's specifically for, it's designed for Texas educators, and our graduates have a 99% pass rate on the school counseling licensure exam here in Texas, and they are employed all over the state of Texas. So that same thing may not be said, which I have no idea, I'm just throwing out random programs. If we had an informatics program, but they don't have a licensure exam, or it's not designed for the state of Texas, it just could be very different for each program.